All right, guys. So, question of the week is it okay to meet your husband in the club?
You know, when we got this question, yeah, the first thought that came to my mind was like, this is a really random yet oddly specific question. Like, why the club? Like, what's the story behind this? What sort of person is asking? Like, why the club?
Yeah, because when I read it as well, I was like, maybe this person is a regular at the club, marking attendance. But she's not sure if that environment is going to produce the kind of marriage that she wants or the husband that she's looking for. So she's asking this question to sort of see if is it okay to meet him in this environment?
Yeah, but I mean, like, what if she's not a regular? What if it was a one-off thing? It was a friend's birthday or something, and then she went there, met a guy, but she's a bit skeptical that with this environment, as in, like, is it okay? Like,
is it okay to meet someone?
Yeah, here, like, what's our story going to be? That sort of thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I know like most people think that because this is a really controversial topic, to be honest, because there are a lot of Christians who don't think going clubbing is wrong. And we're not here to say if it's wrong or right. That's a topic for another day. But I feel like the main question to be asked here is, what kind of husband are you looking for? I don't know, like when you were looking for a husband, like what were the sort of things that you were praying for or expecting?
I wasn't looking for a husband. Okay. Husband found me.
Oh, right.
But anyways, before I got married, there were a few things that were really important to me, and the first one was his relationship with God, right? I didn't want someone that was just Christian by mouth.
Christian by birth and not by belief.
Yeah, as in I didn't want someone that his Christianity was, because he ticked a box on the form, that's what made him a Christian. I wanted someone that didn't even need to tell you he was Christian, but you could see the evidence of Christianity in his life, like the fruits of salvation were evident in his actions, in his life generally. And also, because quality time is pretty important to me, I wanted somebody that we had similar interests. Obviously, I'm not saying that all our interests had to be the same or whatever, like what's the fun in that, but it had to be similar enough for us to be able to enjoy each other's company. And
I love language.
To be able to enjoy each other's company. And so I knew that I couldn't be with somebody that was into that whole clubbing thing, because I wasn't. I wasn't a fan of that whole clubbing lifestyle. Like, I didn't want to be awake at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., wondering what my husband is doing in the club, wondering who is grinding on him, wondering if he's going to fall into temptation. Like all those sort of things. I wasn't. Yeah, I just, I wasn't really down for.
Yeah, to be honest, like when I read this question, the first thing that came to my mind was word association. So babe, like when you think of gym, what do you think of? Like, what comes to your mind?
Personal trainer, fitness.
People trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay, when you think of a supermarket.
Food, grocery shopping.
When you think of a school.
Teachers, students.
Okay, so when you think of club. Hey. Mine's not hot dog. Okay, so let's get back to the point here. So remember, the question is it okay to meet my husband in the club? But I guess the real question should be, does it make sense to meet a gym instructor at the supermarket? Because that's what it sounds like to me. Like, when you're going to the gym, you know what you're going to get. If you're going to the supermarket, you know what you're going to get. But when you're not asking, is it okay to find a gym instructor in a supermarket? It's possible, but the odds are going to be very, very slim.
I mean, okay. But what about people that are like, my best friends, cousins, uncles, mothers, sisters, brothers, wife's niece met her husband in the club?
Yeah, there's always going to be that person. And to be honest, it's kind of like playing the lottery. Like, you have a 1 in 30 million chance of winning. And for some reason, it's just human instinct to always focus on the one person that won. And most people don't realize that over 12 million people actually lost as well. And you need to ask yourself this question, like, if 1 out of 50 iPhones worked, like, would you actually buy one? And you're planning to spend your whole life with someone. Are you willing to risk those, like, using those odds to find that person?
So, I mean, at this point, I'd say that rather than sort of like obsessing about the where or the when or the how or whatever, the focus should be more on sort of like obedience, being led by the Holy Spirit, because at the end of the day, it's the Holy Spirit that will actually lead you to the where when the time is right, sort of thing. I mean, it sort of like reminds me of our own story, like how we met. And I feel like that's just a testimony of obedience on its own. Because I remember I had just started, not just started, I'd been attending this church, the church that we met at for a while. And I felt like, after a while, I felt like the Holy Spirit was convicting me that it was time to get more involved in the church, to just stop being as a warming in their seats for them and just get more involved. And the first step for that was to sort of like get plugged into the fellowship system. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So at the time, the church had like a text messaging service that you send your address to, and then they send you this long list of fellowship groups around your area. Yeah, so I did that, and I probably got maybe like 20 addresses back. So I'm like, gosh, how am I supposed to pick? How am I supposed to pick one from here? But I felt like there was one that stood out to me. I felt like the Holy Spirit was saying that this is the one that I want you to go to. So I'm like, okay, grabbed my brother. We tracked the place down. I mean, it was a good meeting. And at the end, we sort of like did the introductions and all of that. And then the fellowship leader was like, oh, wow, we must have passed like 20, maybe like 10 cell groups on our way there. That don't we want to be closer? As in, I felt like the guy was discouraged. In my mind, I was like, guy, are you not looking for members? As in, why are you trying to discourage me, sort of thing? But I understood his point, because they sort of like encourage you to be really close to home so that it's convenient for you. It's not a chore and stuff like that, because sometimes maybe due to the weather you're thinking, I can't drive that far, it's just right next door and stuff like that. But I was like, I felt like this is where the Holy Spirit is asking me to be, so that is where I'm going to be, regardless of how far away it is from the house and all of that. And lo and behold, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, yours truly pops up.
Oh, I popped up 2 or 3 weeks later?
I can't remember exactly. I can't remember how long it was exactly. So that's just an approximate whatever. So he popped up, and as they say, I guess the rest is history, really.
Well, quick disclaimer here. We're not saying that the church is the place to meet husbands or whatever. That's just our story. That's where we met. Because most people don't realize that the church is just like a hospital. There are a lot of sick people there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in recovery, people who are being healed from not just physical ailments, but also mental things as well. Because I was pretty sick when I was sick, and similar to her story, when I got saved and everything, like, one of the next steps was to join a fellowship, because most people that come to church just come to listen. But in a fellowship, you actually come to share what you listen to. So there's that interaction, that, camaraderie, where you get to really know the people around you and sort of dig deeper into the word. So, if you're a lady out there and you're thinking, oh, because he goes to the church, it means that he's husband material, yo. You need to realize that there are a lot of sick people out there, man. Like, he might be, sick, or in recovery, like we said. So you need to really do your due diligence, even though he goes to church. So it's kind of similar to the story of how I joined that fellowship as well, because I feel like, God wanted me there for a reason. And I'm just going to tell a quick story, because, same text messaging system that she had, I got as well. And I got like a list of 20 cells that I could go to. And then there was one, and if you're in Lagos, like, who knows, like Shonibare Estate, like, in my mind, I'm like, there are a lot of fine babes there. So, you know, I might as well just join that fellowship and maybe my wife is there. You know, so I went there. I went to the address that was on the text message and I called the person who was supposed to be leading the group. And she was like, oh, we no longer hold cell meetings here. I'm like, Chai. And then she's like, but you can go to another one. I'll give you his number, call him, and then, but, you know, I got in my car, I waited for 20 minutes, was calling this guy, but I guess he had started cell already, so he didn't want to be distracted or whatever. So I looked at the address again, and I saw one that I kind of recognized because some of my family friends stayed there. So I got into my car, I drove there. I remember walking in, and I'm like, there's no yellow babe here. Like, my wife can't be here. And I walked past her, and I'm like, okay. And then coincidentally, like her brother and I went to A-level school together. So when I saw him, I was like, whoa, like long time. It's been like 10 years. You know, I was sort of caught up, and same thing that the cell leader told her was like, yo, dude, there's like 10 to 15 cells from your house to here. Like, why don't you join somewhere close? And in my mind, I was like, no, something is telling me to just stay here. You know, like, and that's what she was saying, like the obedience and, you know, I could have joined somewhere that would have made it more convenient for me to go, but something just said stay here. And, you know, 9 months later, I didn't realize that one of the cell leaders was going to be my wife.
Unveiled bride. See, this is why you should join the Unveiled Bride course.
Link below.
So as in, jokes aside, I guess what we're trying to say here is that instead of sort of like focusing on where and when you meet, the focus needs to be on obeying the leading of the Holy Spirit, because he's the one that will lead you to the where in the when.
And this can be overemphasized because I'll keep saying this almost every video, because, you know, like she said, you need to be led by the Holy Spirit, but at the same time you also need to have a heart that is willing to be led. You know, you always need to be in that preparation or preparatory state where you are willing to be led by him and obeying his word. Because if you don't have the right heart, then when he speaks, you're not going to be able to hear. You know, and it sort of reminds me of when we met. Well, not when we met, but the 9 months in between when I joined the fellowship and when she was revealed as my wife, because, you know, I saw a lot of character traits in her that she didn't even realize that people noticed. Because, you know, for example, there was one where, you know, the weather could be extremely bad, like rain pouring everywhere, muddy, and everyone is like, yo, we're not going to cell today, man, like no fellowship today because it's raining, like it's messy. But with her, she'll be like, I'm still gonna go because I've given my word, like from 5 to 6 I have to be here, and even if nobody shows up, I'm gonna be there. And that was and I remember thinking, like, who is this girl? Like, whoever she gets married to is gonna be a lucky guy. You know? So and then the second thing was she was known as the testimony girl. Like, I remember a friend from college was like, oh, I've heard of that girl. Like when I was like, oh, that's the girl I'm seeing now. And they're like, oh, I heard about that. Like, she's a testimony girl. I'm like, oh, you've heard too? Because in every fellowship, like, she always had a testimony every single week. And it was like for the littlest of things. Like, oh, I was driving and then something just said turn right and I was able to save myself 15 minutes in traffic, or my hair grew like 2 centimeters last week. I'm joking. But it was like little testimonies like that. And, you know, at first I was like, man, like, is that even a real testimony? But over time I came to realize that, you know, this was a girl who had a deep intimacy with God, that she could see him in the little things, you know. And I remember just looking at her and thinking, you know, this is really a wife material. And to be honest, when you hear wife material, I'm not saying someone who can cook, clean, and all that stuff. No, it's about the character of the person. And, you know, if you are currently doing the right things, preparing yourself, acting the right way, you know, it may feel frustrating because, you know, people are not noticing these things, but I assure you the right guy will notice.
Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is that you can meet your husband anywhere.
Absolutely.
Like, there is no list of places that one can give you to say, oh, go to these places and you can meet your husband anywhere. Like, like we said, we met at fellowship. My best friend met her husband at school. Her sister met her husband at a funeral. I've heard of people that have met in traffic, people that have met at...
What would that just be like? What would that toasting be like at a funeral? So he died.
So he died. Yeah, I don't even know why. I don't even know what to say. So he died. And come, let's console ourselves. So I don't know.
What kind of? Okay.
I don't know.
Funeral.
Okay. But the thing is that you need to realize that where you meet your husband says a lot. Says a lot about the type of person he is. So that is something that you should also bear in mind. Plus, where you meet him also sort of like gives you an idea of where he'll keep going after you guys get married. Because I know a lot of women, they get married and they're complaining, oh, he's married now, why is he still going clubbing? And at the back of his mind is like, that's where you found me. Like, what made you think I was going to stop, sort of thing. So a lot of women actually get married thinking that they'll change their husbands, but what they end up meeting is frustration because they didn't take into consideration the fact that, you know what, this is who I married and this is who he's going to continue to be. So you really need to take all those things into consideration. And as much as we're saying that you can meet your husband anywhere, there is a very slim possibility that anywhere is going to be your house.
You need to get out.
So yeah, you need to. And we're not saying get out with the mentality of, is my husband here? Is my husband there? Can I meet my husband here? Can I meet my husband there? No. Get out, go outside, experience life, live your best life, enjoy yourself, like date yourself, take yourself out, attend someone's wedding, just put yourself out there, because you really need to be out there for somebody to actually find you. Like, so like we said, it's possible maybe somebody will miss his way and show up at your house, but like we said, extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely. So you just have to put yourself out there, really.
Awesome. So what are your thoughts? Is it okay to meet your husband in the club? Would love to hear from you. Drop your comments down in the comment section. If you like this video and you thought it was helpful, please like and share it, and also subscribe by clicking this button. If you have any questions that you need answered before marriage, please send us a message. I would love to answer it one of these weeks. Till next week, take care.